as we out of the flux. So everybody in the chat, welcome. We are glad that you are here. And as we always say when we get ready to start, well, here we go
Here we
again.
go again.
The Discussing Network presents Discussing Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Kyle Jones, and I want to start this week by welcoming back, simply because I don't remember who I welcomed back first last week, Lee Shackelford. Mr. Shackelford, how are you?
I'm very, very well, and glad to be here with the two of you discussing who.
Discussing Who indeed.
Mm.
And also, I would like to welcome back Clarence Brown. Mr. Brown, how are you?
Doing well, man. As always, great to be on with you guys, man. Glad to have these people here in the chat along with us. So, yeah, can't
Yeah.
wait to dive in, man.
Indeed, indeed. And I want to give a special shout out in the chat to our friend who we awesomely like to refer to over and over and over and over again. Nicole, glad to have you in the chat. So welcome. And like Clarence just said, welcome to everyone else in the chat. And Lee, if we have someone listening or watching us for the very first time, what do you like to say?
Get out while you can. No, we like to say thank you. We know you got lots of other things you can be doing, including lots of other Who podcasts you could be listening to. But you've chosen to spend some time with us, and we are very grateful. So thank you.
Yes, indeed. And Clarence, if we have someone listening for the very first time, what would you like to tell them about following us?
You can follow and support us by hitting us up on any of the socials at Discussing Trek. And if you're listening right now, which you are, if you're hearing me, of course, make sure you like and subscribe, or also leave us a review on any of the various podcasting platforms. Only thing we ask is make them good.
Indeed, indeed. And I want to give another shout out to Jamie Johnson, who has just joined us in the chat. I also had a note about Jamie, who I said reached out to us earlier today on Facebook. Jamie is a new fan to Doctor Who and has suggested a great topic that we will be exploring in the very near future. So,
Mm.
Jamie, thank you for the suggestion and welcome, welcome. We're glad that you are here. So we are streaming live. So before we get into the actual review of why we're here tonight, the Wild Blue Yonder, I want to do a quick programming note. Of course, this weekend we will have the finale of the three-part 60th anniversary specials. We will not be reviewing the finale, The Giggle, next week. We will be holding that to the next week because of a scheduling conflict. So just keep that in mind. We're just going to say our brains will be exploding after the regeneration. So we're going to have to like take a week to recover. So that's what's going on there. So I want to talk real quick viewership numbers. The overnight BBC One ratings come in for the Wild Blue Yonder slightly down from the 5.8 million from the week before at 4.83. But according to our friends at blogterwho.com, the Star Beast has now been seen by 7.61 million viewers, and I'm assuming that that is in the UK. That's 2.53 million who have caught up on the Dr. Donna's Return since it first aired. This is a massive increase of 49.6%. That's the highest +7 result since 2018. Thoughts? Lee, why don't you start? Thoughts about this 7-day rating?
Mm. I think a lot of that is probably about novelty. That people are saying, "Hey, you're not going to believe this." It's you ever hear of Doctor Who? Oh yeah, that's the thing with David Tennant. Yeah, well he's in it again. What?
Mm.
That's my guess.
All right, Clarence, any thoughts? Clarence, I think you are muted, unfortunately. There we go.
Yeah,
And I may have accidentally done that. Sorry if I did.
no, it's fine. People coming back, man. The hype is there. The hype train is a going, and people are back on board. And especially if you got wind of that first episode, even if you caught it late, you definitely were in your seats for the next episode. So yeah, I think the hype is just there to have Doctor Who kind of take off. But we'll see if it stays up there after this episode.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And I am excited to find out what you guys think about this episode. So I think it's important that I say at this point, if you have not seen The Wild Blue Yonder, put us on pause, go out, watch the episode, come back, because from this moment forward, spoilers. Alrighty, the spoiler warning has gone out, and we are back to review, like I just said, The Wild Blue Yonder. This is the second of 3 specials for the Doctor Who 60th anniversary, first airing / streaming on the 2nd of December 2023. It starred David Tennant as the 14th Doctor and Catherine Tate as Donna Noble. It features the final appearance of the late, great Bernard Cribbins as Wilfred Mott, and the episode was written by the letters RTD. So some review, Clarence Brown, I'll start with you. Some review, what say ye?
Okay, I have to admit you kind of threw me off. The final appearance, he's not in the next episode.
Unfortunately, final.
Apparently
Oh
not.
my God! See, that hurts me there. Why didn't you tell me this before we got on? He's not going to be in the next episode. That breaks my heart, dude.
Yeah. And you know, let me say this real quick. I have been saying since, we found out that Bernard Cribbins had passed, and I want to correct myself here, that he had finished all of his scenes. Unfortunately, I have since found out that that was not true, that he filmed all that he could do. So.
Oh, man. Well, overall, I think the Bernard Cribbins stuff at the end was amazing. But on the actual content of the episode itself, I didn't love it. It wasn't bad. It was maybe a B- episode, but I was expecting another A. Maybe my expectations were too high coming in. It almost felt like they got use of the volume or a volume-like device and just went to town on it. And that was kind of what they wanted to show off. Performances were great. I wish they would have went a little deeper in the horror aspect a little bit. But overall, a decent episode.
All right, Lee Shackelford, what say you?
Same. I enjoyed it a lot, and I found it genuinely frightening, which I think was the point. I've noticed other people this week comparing it to Midnight, which is one of my favorites, and I think that's that's a fair comparison. There's a lot in common with Midnight, including the very limited cast. You'll notice this cat, when we say it starred David Tennant and Catherine Tate and Bernard Cribbins, we're not kidding. That's it. and I thought that was a very clever use of these performers. But yeah, I'm with Clarence. My master Aristotle wrote 2,500 years ago talking about live theater, where he was seeing them make it rain on stage and throwing down lightning bolts and things like this, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing, special effects are not plot. If the theater goes this way, I see only doom ahead. And 2,500 years later, he's still right. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, what about you?
So, I'm right there with you guys. And, I want to pick up a comment from our friend Larry, who is a member of our Discussing Trek crew and who has, of course, also been on Discussing Who. He said that he liked the episode, but if he's being totally honest, he expected more. And I think, I've gone on record as not liking how Chibnall did not promote things like RTD does. But RTD has now gone on record as saying he wished that he had not have been so secretive about this episode, because it created expectations that may not have come true. If we,
I can see that.
And I can see that, because I was going into it expecting this is going to be our multi-doctor episode. There's nothing about it.
Yeah.
But if I take it out of context of that and the disappointment I had of it not being a multi-doctor story, because last week I was going on and on about saying, oh well, we're going to have Shuti in this. We're going to have we're going to be wowed by this. So I think if I would have gone and not had that expectation and looked at it from the perspective of we have Catherine Tate and David Tennant back for 3 episodes. What better way than to showcase Catherine Tate and David Tennant in an episode starring pretty much exclusively Catherine Tate and David Tennant?
I wondered if that was the thinking exactly. It's sort of like, can we just, maroon them on a desert island, or no, something more interesting than that? Can we not just do that?
Yeah.
And maybe so. I'm reading the chat, and lots of lovely comments from all of our clever co-hosts here who are saying it's a great it may be a good episode of Doctor Who, but is it a special? And I think I think guys, I think you're putting your finger right on it. I think, yeah, was it special?
Yeah, it's almost like you wanted Catherine Tate and David Tennant. You really want them back.
Here you go.
Yeah, we gonna give them to you.
But I want to pick up another comment on the opposite way. As a new fan from Jamie, loved this episode, and coming in with no expectations probably made it better. And I think that's true. That goes back into my saying I had over expectations for it, and it fell a little bit, short. But if you didn't have expectations, it maybe helped you appreciate the mavity of the episode. And speaking of the mavity of the episode, see, yes, I got it. That's what I was waiting for. So speaking of the mavity of the episode, Clarence, what did you think of the opening with Isaac Newton?
I thought it was really fun, but they lost me with the mavity at the very end. I think, why did you put that in there? So that's me. It's kind of like, what are we, Back to the Future in this thing? Like going forward, everybody's going to say mavity, which we did get Donna saying it later. And even the Doctor, I guess, because he's, the Lord of Time and Space, he knows what it's supposed to be. Yeah. And he's gravity. Oh, mavity, So, yeah, I guess we're going to have to say mavity from now on in Doctor Who, which is just weird. Why?
I hope they're just kidding, because Isaac Newton did not invent the word gravity. That's and to suggest so means that's just ignorant. That's just that is beneath the dignity of this show to suggest that he did not invent the word, for God's sake. And as a huge Fourth Doctor fan, I was irked by all this, because we know canonically from Pirate Planet that the Doctor says that Isaac Newton's epiphany was because the Doctor was in the apple tree throwing apples down at him, trying to get his attention. So, but of course, that could also just be something that the Doctor said. So anyway, anyway, Nicole's with me on that one.
Well, as the Moffat once said, the Doctor lies. So there you go.
Yes. And yeah.
So,
and I think brags about a lot of things that can't possibly be true. So yeah.
Anyway. But the Great Fire was mentioned. I thought that was a good nod that was mentioned.
Yeah. Stay out of London.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. We did learn something. Yeah. The Newton's writing at the time of the Great Fire. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys, we've talked in our summary view about the look of the episode, and you said that, great special effects and stuff like that doesn't make up for the story proper. So I'll take this, to start with. I like the special effects, but some of the special effects did seem a little bit jarring whenever I saw the special effects over and over and over and over again. Every time we're out in the hall, it's beautiful at the beginning, but it starts losing its realness after a while.
You
thoughts.
mean the giant
Yes, the
corridor?
giant
Yeah.
corridor. So, what did you
Mhm.
guys think of that? Did it lose some of the awe to you, or did you have any awe at the beginning? Lee, why don't you start with that?
Oh, I did. I was Yeah, it's like the new TARDIS interior. I was just swearing at the TV and saying, "Where did all this money come from all of a sudden? Holy jumping catfish!" And yeah, and I know that they're creating this in volume, and so um, it they didn't construct everything that we see. Obviously, I mean somebody did in a computer, but no, there are no physical assets being deployed there. So because in the past, if we wanted to try to tell the story, we would have to have shot it inside an aircraft carrier or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, if the point there was to wow us, I literally said, "Wow." So okay, mission accomplished. um, and once you get far enough away from where you started, I always think, well, you're going to have to run back there at some point, don't you? Even when the TARDIS has magically gone away. Um, and not to change the subject, but shout out to the original series again. Thank you, because we have heard of HADS before. We knew that is an actual, pre-established thing. We didn't make that up for this episode. That the TARDIS will take care of itself. And as Donna says, the TARDIS got so scared it ran away. That's got to be
Let's go
bad.
kick its
So
arse.
let's go kick its ass. So yeah.
So, Clarence, what about you? What did you think of the special effects, that corridor scene?
Yeah, remind me to talk about Donna. And to me, she kind of changed. She was all over the place to me in this episode. We'll talk about it later.
Hmm.
But
Interesting. Yeah.
the endless corridor spaceship, I kind of hated it. I mean, from all accounts of what a spaceship should be, it just didn't make much sense. It did look cool. It looked really cool. I found myself very happy when we got out of that long corridor and onto the bridge and the side rooms. But overall, I did not like the corridor at all. It made for some good scenes. We got doctor running, doctor crawling because of the corridor, but
Mm.
Hmm.
but overall, I don't think I loved it.
Okay. So, I want to pick up on something that Ian and Nicole are saying in the chat, which is the hope that some of this episode could resonate later. Do you guys see that? Is that possible? And if so, how might it resonate? Thoughts?
I felt that they were just saying because it didn't make it didn't do anything now.
True.
we're still waiting. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, think how many adventures that the Doctor has been on that we will never reference again. We just it's as if it didn't happen. So I don't know.
Okay. Clarence?
Maybe not the adventure in so much as like the interactions between the Doctor and Donna. I think some of that stuff is was really interesting and will be brought up in the next episode.
So, Wind Grace brings up a very good point, which is the salt thing, that they're setting
Hmm.
something up. And I'll go ahead and take this first.
I'll buy that.
I
Yeah.
think this is how the toy maker, since they're on the edge of the universe per se, I want to think, because this is what popped into my head. This is how the toy maker gets his re-entrance back into our reality.
Interesting. Huh.
Okay, you're gonna have to dive deeper into that for me.
So, Lee, keep me honest here. From my understanding of the original story for the Celestial Toy Maker, he was a being that had a realm of his own, and he had taken the Doctor and I think it was Dodo Caplet and some, I can't remember who the other two, maybe Stephen and Dodo that was with him,
I think it's Stephen Dodo. Yeah.
and he took them to their realm, and they had to beat him at his own game in order to
Yeah.
return to where they were. So,
And when we say realm, we mean
yes.
universe. He is not from our
Hmm.
universe. So, yeah. which is why he was able to write the rules
Correct.
in his, or at least that's a function of his being there. So, yeah, if the Doctor here at the edge of our universe has broken one of the rules of how reality works, then yeah, maybe that's like saying Beetlejuice three times.
Mm.
Maybe this is how you get the toy maker. Except that I think we've been feeling his hand all along, and we're gonna find out
Mm. Maybe.
because we still have not answered the question of why
Why is this
um,
face back?
14 looks like
Yes.
10. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, hmm.
Thought?
Yeah, well, I was kind of thinking they made the point that the clone or the doppelganger Donna could remember the Doctor's adventures for the last 15 years. So it almost felt like as if
Mm.
she's been calling out to him subconsciously.
Mm.
And now
Mhm.
presumably Rose has these memories
Mhm.
too. So I mean I don't know how that's going to play into the next episode, but I found that very interesting and could possibly have something to do with why he's back.
Very good point. So let,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
let me point it back to you, Clarence. You said that Donna was all over the place. Elaborate.
Well, just at the very beginning, just the feeling of oh we're stranded here, I'll never see Rose again, and she was very down on herself. And then the very next moment, she's like, "Let's go kick its butt," you know. It just felt weird, especially knowing that she just had another rekindling of the Dr. Donna. I don't know how much of that would stay with her, but it's still like going from that right into this. We're stranded. All hope is gone. It just, I don't know. It didn't feel quite right to me, but maybe that's just me.
Lee, what do you think?
Yeah. No, same. It's really really hard. She's a complex character, and as the writing went on for her, during her big year, I think it got more complicated.
Mm,
And so now we've got all of that plus sort of her going forward. I would not envy the task of trying to write for her or play her. So I think the script tackles it as head on as it can, and Catherine Tate is equal to the task, but it's just a lot.
Mm.
It's a lot to do. Um,
So is this the double-edged sword of as much as I love last episode and getting that resolution of the binary, 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 where I was like the no Donna was a puddle on the floor last week, literally. But is this the catch 22 or the double-edged sword of having these two characters, this version of the Doctor, even though he's new, this face, and Donna back, but only back for 3 episodes, and where if you
mhm.
could have explored it over an entire 8 episodes, 10 episodes, it might have resonated a little bit better, but you're trying to push and condense everything into 3 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fine. It's a high wire to try to walk on. Yeah, it's
yeah, yeah. Plus these
you
these
know
these characters are still trying to find out who they are right now. We've
yeah
only had one, the 2 episodes to do that, and including Donna, who just has kind of been in a stupor for the last 15 years and hasn't really
right.
been herself. So they're all trying to figure out who they are at this point.
I want to pick up a comment from Larry. And by the way, for everyone in the chat, I'm loving reading the comments as you're chatting back and forth. So that is absolutely awesome. But I want to bring
Terrific.
in
Yeah.
something that Larry said. He says that he loved the energy of David and Catherine. And it's just like you can see that they're just literally happy to be back together. And it does come through on their performances, which I totally
It does.
agree.
Hmm.
And Ian brings up that it might be the death of Donna that pushes 14 to regenerate. Mm. Thoughts? Do we think Donna will die?
I don't.
We
It's
have a
too,
don't.
He will.
I don't. Yeah, he will regenerate.
I think he will.
I think. Yeah, Clarence, do you agree?
uh, hope not. It's too tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen
No.
her with a tragic end. I don't think we want another one.
And RTD has confirmed that even though we won't see Wilf, it is confirmed that he will, at the end of the episode, be safe and sound. so the character will, live on and be safe and sound at the end of. And I agree with what Nicole just said. Donna has been done dirty enough, so I'm hoping that she won't die. 100%
Oh,
agree.
it's just abuse at this point. No, no,
Yeah. And I
no,
don't want her to lose her memory at the end of this next episode. I don't think that's going
no,
to happen. We've done too much to
no.
bring her back.
Well, everybody around her knows now too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about these no things as they were referring, I think, to themselves. One of my favorite things about this was I genuinely, from scene to scene, after you knew from that initial scene that, oh, wait, that's not the doctor. Oh, wait, that's not Donna. They played it so well that there were times that I was not sure who was Donna, who was the doctor. Did you guys have that same feeling? Clarence, why don't you take that first?
Oh man, it's such a hard task for these actors to play themselves, but not be themselves, but still play the same character.
Hmm.
Of course, they had me fooled almost every time because I feel like because these characters are becoming the Doctor and Donna throughout the episode so much, you really can't really deviate far from how the Doctor would actually act or how Donna would actually act. So some of the points when they're just face to face trying to figure out who's who, I just feel like was well done. And the questions, the mannerisms, trying to figure out who's who was fun. And even the Doctor getting it wrong sometimes, as witnessed by the end of the episode. So yeah, I couldn't tell.
Okay.
I couldn't tell unless they showed me.
All right, Lee.
I was just reading Nicole's note. She's saying they got some physical tells, especially in their eyes,
Hmm.
but most of the time it was really very hard, and I couldn't agree more, and I was intrigued because this is part, this is direction. Tom Kingsley, who has not directed a Doctor Who
Hmm.
before, so welcome aboard, Tom Kingsley. Um, but kudos to Catherine Tate because. I don't know how they telegraphed this exactly, but when there were the two Donnas and the doctor had in a second to choose which one to bring aboard, um, I was looking right in their faces and I said out loud to my wife, "He's got the wrong one," and they let us know that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure how, because I was right, of course, but how did I know that? And it's something super tiny in that performance. It's like catching people when they're lying. It was, yeah. So yeah, I thought all of that was, one of the best things about the episode was our gradual realization that they're not.
Yep.
Um,
And you know what?
yeah.
The first time I watched it through, I didn't pick up on this, but I agree with what Nicole said about there was something physical tells, especially in the eyes for Catherine Tate for
Hmm.
me, because it seemed like the no Donna, as I'm going to call her, she
Hmm.
did squinch or, her eyes just a little bit. There was this just a slight difference, other than them saying my arms are too
Hmm.
long, but just that
Yeah.
little slight tell, I think that especially Catherine Tate did.
Very
I
interesting.
want to
Yeah.
pick up a question that Larry asked in the chat, which is, he says, in the history of modern Who, which showrunner killed off the most companions? Ian responds by saying, and I agree with this, Moffat. I think Moffat did kill the most companions. He would also backdoor them in to say they're not really dead, but I think he would be the one who's killed the most companions.
It'd be interesting to, yeah, I'd like to sit down and, with a list
Yeah.
and work on that. But yeah, off the top of my head, I have to say
Yep.
so.
Because if I can think of three people who entered the TARDIS in the Moffat era. No spoilers here. One died completely. The other two died, but he backdoored them in. And Nicole brought up he killed Rory a lot. So
Well, that's true. Rory's a special case.
indeed, indeed.
So, yeah. And for Jamie Johnson, we'll just have to say we did sound the spoiler
Yes.
warning.
Yeah.
but 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 yeah, to be fair, we didn't spoil it for the whole freaking series.
Yep.
So
Yep.
oops. Anyway,
Well, he does die. He
change the
dies a
subject.
lot, but just FYI, you know.
Yeah, when Grace says they all died
Yeah.
technically.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Season 5, spoilers. But back to this. Let's go to season or series, as they are calling it, series 11, 12, and 13, specifically 12 and 13. And Lee, I want to point this one to you first.
The
The
flux.
flux, and even though they don't
The
call
flux.
it such, we get a reference to the Timeless Child story by the No Donna saying Gallifrey, and him, referencing it's complicated, which is a nod to Gallifrey and not
Time
Gallifrey.
War, and yeah.
Thoughts about addressing those two items?
Well, there it is. We were waiting for. We got it. We got a reference to it in Star Beast, but now this is somebody who is in a position to know, um, because the not Donna has Donna's mind, and Donna is either telling the truth or not later on, where she says she doesn't know what's in his head. But yeah, said no. You don't know where you were. You don't know where you're from. And so that just means that the question is back on the table. So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that it's out, and it's as I mentioned last time, and I know Nicole is with me on this one too. It's the Andrew Cartmel master plan, isn't it? We're finally getting back to saying there's a lot more to the Doctor than we thought, and my gut reaction to that during the whole flux thing was why mess with this? But no, I've had some time to think about it. Yeah, why not?
So,
The show is called Doctor Who.
mm.
Who?
So I have a thought, but I want to
You
get
know?
Clarence's thought first.
Yeah, I think what I took away from the whole thing is the fact that the Doctor is right back in that mopey, melancholy. I did something in my past that's affecting me right now, and how am I
Yeah.
going to go on? So, and even I guess it happened at the end of Jodie's run, but I didn't really get that sense from even at the end of her run from her. Um, I don't know if it's the portrayal or the writing, but instantly from David Tennant, I'm feeling all the weight of everything that happened in the flux weighing him down or weighing the character down. So I like the portrayal there. And as far as the timeless child thing, yeah, it's bothering him. He wants to know. So yeah, hopefully we're going to get that explained at some point. And it seems like they're tackling it head on. So Chibnall era is very much alive and well.
So, so that being said, I want to bring in some of the comments from the chat. Nicole says that it's finally some emotional reaction from the Doctor on both of the events that we mentioned. So I agree
Yeah.
100% there. And then when Grace brings in and says it would be more annoying not to address it at all, at least it isn't a lingering question now. Agreed again.
Agreed. Yeah.
Nicole also says, I think it's fine if it stays a mystery. I like that. And then I want to bring in what Ian says, address it, but is it important to solve it? That's
No.
a good question.
Put it right there with the name of the Doctor. I don't want to know.
Exactly. So
So
I would love to live in an alternate reality where Chibnall wrote what he wrote during his tenure, but someone else was the showrunner. And the reason I say that is we go back and look at some of the episodes that Chibnall wrote during the Moffat era and during the RTD era, and we actually enjoyed those episodes. So I'm wondering if it was something that Clarence kind of alluded to a few minutes ago. Was it the execution of some of his plans that we didn't like? Because again, we introduced a war doctor that threw off the numbering back 10 years ago.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And Chibnall, I don't know if we talked about this that much when we were reviewing, his time, but bless him, he inherited the pandemic Doctor
true.
Who, where shooting was so complicated and so difficult, and you know, wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yes, that is
So
true. And one of the issues I remember, Lee, that you and I had more than anything with the flux was you destroyed half the universe. It was basically like the doctor committed genocide, and then okay, well, let's just all be happy and go off on our merry way and woohoo. So,
yeah, yeah, you know, and I'm with Nicole again. I was glad that they at least mentioned the fact that half of the universe is now missing. I, I think all of us, the three of us, were concerned that they were just going to pretend like that
yep,
didn't happen.
agreed. Agreed. And
Hmm.
Ian brought up something, where I said it was the war doctor. Ian is 100% right. The meta-crisis doctor really threw off the numbering, as when David Tennant kept the face again. So
Yeah,
the doctor loves that face just about as
loves
much as
that
we do.
face. Yeah, right.
So, any other thoughts on this particular story? I know there wasn't a lot to it, and I think we've covered it, but I'm curious to see, before we get into our final ratings, any other thoughts?
I don't know if I quite understood the slowing down of the time um, in
Mm,
order that these aliens couldn't understand what was going on. And not really slowing down the time, just making the robot move very slowly is I think what they said in the episode. Yeah, I don't know if I ever really understood that.
yeah. Apart from making that a dramatic conclusion, I wasn't sure what the point of
So,
that
the way I
was
took it
either.
was these beings replicated you very, very quickly. So, the
Uh-huh.
slower things were, the easier the harder it was for them to replicate, but it kind of doesn't make sense if nothing else is alive. They're not replicating n- the ship. Why not just have the ship just be there and blow it up?
Yeah, they lost me on
Yeah.
it.
Oh, Jamie brings
Yeah.
up an interesting point. Jamie says, I don't think the creatures can comprehend slow information. Mm,
Yeah. I, I
Mm,
I think that was and it's double talk, but I do think that's, yeah, that was the explanation as I understood it, that they literally can't comprehend things that are happening too slow. And the doctor, who's the captain who's sacrificed herself, um, as the last person on the ship, she figured that out. So yeah, yeah, they wanted adrenaline.
mm,
Um, and okay, that's convenient for the sake of creating a conclusion where we're going to speed everything up, and so we have to race the clock to, uh, I mean, as a screenwriter, that's what I would do. I would say, I really want a fast finish. How can we make that happen? Oh, what if everything before that has to go slowly? Ha ha ha.
mm.
You know, you just start from the end and build those things back in. So
yeah.
I don't know.
And I love the I love them showing the doctor's grasp of space and time. I think we get it the first time at the very beginning of the episode when he
Hmm.
tells Donna time isn't going slow; they're just moving slowly. And
Hmm.
also at the very end, speaking of space, how he knows the arm isn't the right length. I
Yes.
mean, who else would really know that except the doctor because he has such a grasp of how things work and time and
Yeah,
shape and all this other good
and
stuff.
space.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
great way they showed that in the episode.
Agreed.
Oh, and we had the return of the thing that this doctor not only experiences the universe through this sort of way of feeling space and time moving through him, but also smell and
Yeah.
taste.
Yes.
So he's got to put his tongue on
Yeah.
something before
Why?
this is all over. I know,
Why?
just yeah,
Because that
yeah,
version of the doctor, that face, loves to taste things.
Yeah. So
So, and
anyway,
Nicole brings up that he knew Martha was a clone in the Sontaran story for her measurements and smell being off.
Mm,
yep,
So that's good.
he can tell.
I
Hmm.
did like the Doctor, and I know a lot of, the what I'm going to say, Doctor Who trolls, the ones who they did. I've seen some complaints of Isaac Newton, who's supposed to be a white man, and I don't, I didn't really care. I just thought the actor did a good job. I also liked that the reference, the banter that they had of, oh well, he was really cute. Yeah, I thought so too. And, oh, is that who I am now? I thought that was cool for the 14th Doctor. Showing a little bit of difference between the 10th and the 14th,
Hmm.
even though it was the same
That's true.
face, something very subtle. So I really, really like that. Um, Before we get into our final ratings, I do want to ask one final question to you guys, which is any thoughts or expectations for next week for the finale?
I have no idea what to expect. Just wow me. Just wow me. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's where I am. I went into these thinking that it was a three-part story,
Mm.
and um, that there would be that we're going to get two whopping cliffhangers in the middle of this story, but it's three separate stories. So yeah, apart from what we've seen in the super short trailer that they're calling a trailer, it's a teaser. The apart from that,
Mm.
yeah,
All right.
who the hell
So
knows? It's
I'm
yeah.
going to say that I have trust in RTD from his first era. And I'm going to specifically reference that he referred to a name in season one or series one, 2005 series. They referred to, and I can't remember the man that became the name of the man that became the prime minister. My brain just lost it. Um, in season three, I know who the man was, but what was the name that the person used as the prime minister? Um, John Sims' character. And I know who's what.
Oh, John Saxon.
Yes, and they referred to Mr.
Yeah,
Saxon in the first series several times. That Mr. Thanks, Win Grace and Nicole and Lee.
yeah.
Yes, Saxon. They referred to that in season one, and Ian. So I'm hoping that we will get some tiebacks into this. Um,
Hmm?
I think we're all going to be going crazy over a giggle, but just that's going to be my little spoiler hint right there. See if I'm right there. Um,
Question for you guys: have we ever had an American actor come over and be such a headliner on Doctor Who before?
I believe this is groundbreaking. I believe so. I believe this is it. And nothing has tickled me more than looking for Doctor Who on Disney Plus. If you do a search by the alphabet and you type D-O, the first thing that it brings up is
Hauser.
Doogie
Hauser,
Howser.
yeah.
So you're going to get Neil Patrick Harris whether
Not
you want him or not.
exactly.
Well, well, that makes
Anyway,
me think. Do we think the inclusion of him in this series had to do with Disney putting money behind this? Maybe they demanded, let's get some
well,
American folks in there.
I have read people decrying, what this is obviously the beginning of the end of the Americanization of Doctor Who, and this is, the ship is sinking, and that, I think that's a huge overreaction.
Mm.
um,
I
who
want to
knows?
bring in
Who
one
knows?
more
Who
question real
knows?
quick. I know I said that was going to be my final question, but this is an awesome question
Mm.
from Grace, and it is: do you think the fact that the Doctor regenerated into David and the clothes will be relevant?
Well, I hope so. I hope we haven't just dropped that somewhere because and we talked way back when about after Power of the Doctor about the fact that the first Doctor didn't get up off the TARDIS floor wearing the same clothes. So is there precedent? Yeah, but no, I'm with Ian here. That's the toy
Yeah.
maker. That's got to be what's going on here. This is somehow being manipulated. It's all part of the question about why this face has come back and why did he get somebody else's clothes forced onto him. It's yeah.
Well, and we also see that it goes back to quote unquote normal because the first image that we see of Shuti's 15th Doctor is the shirt and the tie that, it may not be buttoned and the tie is undone, but it's the David Tennant tie that he's wearing now and the David Tennant shirt that he's wearing now. So it goes back to the norm of the next Doctor wearing what the previous Doctor wore. Let me just say, I can't wait to see 15 next week. As much as I'm loving 14, I can't
Please.
wait to see Shuti. That being said, final ratings and final scene and our favorite scene and favorite quote. I'm going to start with favorite quote. Clarence, favorite quote.
What a delightful word. Savity? Havity? Mavity.
Lee, do you
It hurts
appreciate
me.
the mavity of that for your quote?
Yeah. My quote, if there's a line that just sort of brought me up off my seat saying, yes, it's now nothing is wrong, nothing in the whole wide world. Oh, hello, me old soldier.
Oh, man. So good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take one just whenever he opened the door and said Wilfred Mott. That just
Now I
warmed
feel
both
better.
of my hearts. So and broke both
Yes.
of my hearts, but still. Favorite scene? I will take that ending scene when they opened the door from start to finish to it went off. It has to be my favorite scene because it was that made up for any complaint that I had for the first 50 some odd minutes. That was worth it for me. Favorite scene, that's mine. Lee, what was yours?
Favorite
Yes.
scene? Let me butt in quickly just to say Wingrace is offering as a favorite line. Oh, right. When things are gone, they keep
Oh
existing.
yes.
That was a great line, and it's we know this is object permanence. It's something that we all have to learn as infants. It's not obvious. These things happen. Anyway, favorite scene. I love that whole pair of scenes moving back and forth between these two conversations between the Doctor and Donna, as they're slowly realizing that they're not talking to who they think they're talking to. It's just fabulous. It's terrific. So, while he has her doing filing, I love the design of that machine. So she's filing. It's just brilliant.
All right. So we're a favorite scene,
I didn't do mine yet.
and I'm getting to you for that one.
Yeah.
All
So-
right.
So what's your favorite scene?
Okay, mine is going to be, just because I don't think we'll ever see this in Doctor Who again, is the giant Donna Doctor squished up against the hull of the spaceship. That's something we probably never see again in Doctor Who. So
We probably won't see that again.
Not saying it's a good thing, but I'm gonna give it a shout out just for that.
All right.
Yeah.
So I want to bring in something Nicole said, and this was quite well done. I wonder where the TARDIS goes at random. Maybe it lands on some outcrop by the sea, and there's a tribe, and they worship it for 100 years.
Yeah.
Then they grow up and try to burn it. Then they get wise. They preserve it. Then they build a city all around it till the TARDIS is just a tiny little dot surrounded by skyscrapers and monorails.
And monorails.
Time passes and the city falls. It gets all swept away. And there's the TARDIS, still on its outcrop by the sea.
Good quote.
Yes,
beautiful.
indeed. And Ian also brings in, Donna says, like fools say, allons-y. That was
As
good.
idiots say.
Yes. All right, so final rating, and before I lose it in the chat, I'm going to say that Larry is giving this 3 sonic screwdrivers out of 5. So final rating, Clarence, what say ye? Final rating.
I'm going to give this 3 slow-moving robots out of 5.
Donk.
All right, so we've got three Lee Shackelford, what say ye?
I'm going to give it 3.5 giant doctor hands out of 5, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's my hand.
All right.
Yeah.
Jamie is giving this 4 newbies out of 5. Oh, I like that.
There you go. Love it.
I'm going to give this a rating in 2 parts. So I'm going to give it 3 TARDIS singing Wild Blue Yonders out of 5. But I'm going to give it its own separate side rating of 2 One More Wilfred Mott out of 5. So,
Oh, so that's a bonus,
bonus.
too.
So Nicole is giving this 3 equine captains out of 5. When Grace is giving it 4.25 something clever out of 5. Well, I like that too.
That's right. Speaking of the Equine Captain, I'd just like to mention that if you like science fiction adventure about giant spaceships with nobody aboard except for the captain who's committed suicide, may I recommend my audio drama Relativity? Yeah, there was a part of this where I started going, oh no, please don't say the captain's committed suicide. Oh, they said it. Oh, wow. Well, I was there first. Damn it. Anyway, I also wore my World War II planes shirt tonight, by the way. I just wanted to get that on camera.
So Clarence and Lee.
There's your Wild Blue Yonder.
And Mr. Shackelford, if someone were wanting to know about Relativity Podcast, where might they go find Relativity Podcast?
RelativityPodcast.com. How's that?
Indeed. And if someone wanted to know who also stars in Relativity Podcast, found at relativitypodcast.com, who might that be?
Well, it's the 3 of us in varying degrees. And my dear friend, the endlessly talented Elena Jordan, who is not the captain.
No.
Anyway, but she's the boss, isn't she?
Always.
Anyway.
You're the boss.
Always.
I thought Nadia was the star, but anyway.
Well, okay. Nadia and Elena were. You can't have the show without either of them. So.
Indeed. So again, that is relativitypodcast.com. So please go check that out. It is awesome, and please check it out. It is award winning, by the way. But
that's true.
I just want to end by saying to everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. This made this hour so much fun. We are glad that you joined us. And to the 2 gentlemen here with me, thank you as always. This was an awesome episode, and I look forward to wearing my armband this weekend so that I don't go crazy. And we will, as always, see you next time.